Someone said, glad you shared. I was just having this realization today, actively going through the circle. Can you speak more on what it looks like after this awareness, the growth aspect and self-trust? Yeah, so I shared that first story about me not standing up for myself. Well, when I was dating my wife, there was a moment where I almost stepped over my own integrity. This is the story I just shared with the group that we're coaching in right now. I'll give you the actual story. So my wife and I were dating for probably more than a month now. I really liked her. You know, I just so much great chemistry, having a lot of fun, taking her out on dates, stuff like this. And after a bunch of dates, I noticed she never offered to pay. And I was kind of surprised by that. I'm Canadian. My wife is Russian. That'll make sense more in a moment, why that's important. And I was raised by a single mother. Like, I was used to women also looking out for themselves, also offering to pay, things like that. That's what I was used to. And so when she never offered, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I actually asked her about it. I said, hey, I noticed you didn't offer to pay. Is that something I should get used to? She was like, of course. Russian women don't pay for dates. And I was like, wow. In my head, I instantly judged her. I was like thinking, how dare you? Like, you're trying to use me. Who do you think you are? All these thoughts going through my head. Then I remembered the coaching. She's given you information. That's all that is, information. You get to decide what to do with it. If I'm going to make up a big story about her character from this information, I'm going to be at a loss. So, okay, she's giving you information. What are you going to do about it? This is what's running through my mind. Now, I wanted to say, that doesn't work for me. But I was scared that if I said that, I would appear as needy and insecure, not the manly man that I want to be. Well, all this is happening like literally in milliseconds. I thought back to this past story I just told you about stepping over my own integrity and the resentment it led to with the first woman I was engaged to. Well, as I thought back to that moment, I was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to step over my integrity again. It leads to such a brutal relationship. So even though I'm so horrified to tell this wonderful woman, my now wife, that it doesn't work for me to keep paying for these dates, I got to do it. So I said to her, I really like you. I love going out on these dates with you, and I want to get to know you better. But I would like to do more dates where we're going out for walks or going out for a coffee or something like that, because it doesn't work for me to keep paying for these dates this often. And she looked at me with the same look I was so scared that she would look at me with, kind of like disappointment/disgust. And that was another moment where I almost stepped over my integrity. You know, I knew I could have said, oh, never mind, I'm just kidding. And then she'd like me again. But I was like, no, this is what I need to do. This is how we find out if we actually can work or not. Not as a test, but as a stance for my own integrity. With integrity, relationships work. When there is integrity, everything works. When there isn't, everything doesn't work. And so after I shared this with her, I paid the bill. I got up to leave thinking, like, this is probably over. She probably thinks I'm a loser or doesn't like me and isn't willing to do this. But instead, she walked up behind me. She put her arm around me and she said, how would I pay for drinks at the next place? And my heart quadrupled in size. I was like, oh my God, this is such a breakthrough for me. I've never experienced this before, where I stood for my integrity and this person actually joined me with that. So we went out to drinks that night and we had a great time. Lo and behold, I find out later, she's totally broke. She hasn't had a job in a while and she's struggling to make ends meet. I'm struggling to make ends meet at the time. And that's why it didn't work for me. I would have loved to treat her, but it was a financial choice. And so we learned in that moment we could deal with the challenges that come relationships. It was such a beautiful discovery. Now, the only thing that made that possible, the person was asking about self-trust, was I was present to the cost of not standing up for myself. I was so scared to stand up for myself with her. But I was more scared of repeating the past. And this is where the past can be such a great lesson, is that when we actually recognize, oh my God, I don't want to relive that, but I'm scared to do this new thing. It's so scary and new. Yeah, but so what? Are you okay with reliving the past? So self-trust can be built in a number of ways. One of the ways is literally to wing it, to be so present to the cost of not listening to yourself that you feel like you've got to do it. That was me in that situation. But building self-trust doesn't look like just one thing. It could look like aiming low, focusing on little things and building up to it. That's one of my favorite strategies to developing anything. But it also can look like this, being bold in a way you never have before. Most of us are waiting for the right information, waiting for the right time, waiting for the right situation. Sometimes that might be appropriate. Sometimes it's like, you know what? I'm never going to be fully prepared for this thing. But screw it. This is important to me, so I'm going to do something about it.